Hello everyone and welcome to Fiction Friday. Today we have episode 35 of The Squire. I hope you enjoy it.
Cole's vision cleared enough that he could see the look of concern on Rain's face. He tried to smile, and the bruises on his face made him wince. "I'm fine, really. A few bumps and bruises. I can even see again." Cole lay on a cot in the infirmary and Rain sat beside him. They'd made it back with no losses, but they failed to protect Prince Henry. Before his vision cleared, Cole had felt the vibration from the breaking sword. Only 3 remained. "What were you thinking taking on the Black Prince on your own?" Cole sighed. "I was thinking I wanted to avenge my mentor and protect my team who are lying on the ground semi-conscious. He's so strong. Way stronger than the strongest beast man I ever fought. Fast, too. In such a close space I had no chance of beating him." "You think you have a chance of beating him somewhere else?" She sounded incredulous, and he didn't blame her. "I don't know, but I need to find a way to stop him. This won't be over until him and his master are dead. I won't lie, a large part of me wants to be the one that kills him, but as long as it gets done, I'm okay with it." She smiled down at him. "I'm surprised to hear you say that. When we first left Corinthia, all you thought about was getting back and killing him. Don't get me wrong, I still want to kill him, but it's part of something much bigger now, something I couldn't see before. I can't let my need for revenge get in the way of what needs to happen to keep everyone safe." "Well said." Talia leaned in the door to the infirmary, her blue dress rumpled. She had dark circles under her eyes, and if it was possible for an immortal angel to be exhausted, she certainly looked the part. "Are you up for a walk?" Cole sat up, eager to get out of the infirmary and go anywhere with Talia. "Absolutely." He turned to Rain. "Thanks for sitting with me. It meant a lot to see you when I woke up." "Of course. I'm glad you're okay." His boots sat beside his cot and Cole slipped them on. He walked over to Talia, who leaned close and whispered, "I'm glad you're okay too." Her breath tickled his ear and sent the most wonderful thrill through him. "Where did you want to go?" "The garden. It's early still, but I'd like to watch the sunrise." They left the infirmary together and walked the familiar halls to her favorite garden. Cole kept his distance, careful to give no indication he felt anything but friendship for the queen. A few servants passed them on early morning errands, each pausing to offer a bow or curtsy to the queen. He wondered if she ever got sick of people stopping whatever they were doing when she arrived and paying attention to her. Cole wouldn't enjoy getting recognized everywhere he went. When the two of them reached the door to the garden, they found a gray, fur-trimmed cloak hanging on a hook. "Nothing for me?" Talia offered him a wicked smile. "We can share." Cole grinned back. "I like the sound of that." He helped her slip the cloak on and held the door open. Outside frost covered everything, making the grass glitter like tiny crystals in the light Talia conjured. In the distance, a faint glow lit the horizon. Sunrise wasn't far off. Talia took his hand and they walked to the bench where they had their first conversation so long ago. They snuggled together and adjusted the cloak so it covered them both. "Did you really throw Prince Adam off the castle wall?" "Yeah. He wouldn't climb down the ladder. It was the only thing I could think of at the time." "Is the kid still complaining?" "Often and loudly, I understand." Cole laughed. "At least he can complain. I didn't do so well saving Prince Henry." "You did your best." Talia kissed him. "No one could have done better given the circumstances. Here it comes." The sun came up over the horizon, coloring the sky pink and yellow. It was a beautiful sight, made more so by the company. Cole didn't care if the king kicked down the door and ran him through. He wouldn't have traded this moment for anything. "I love the sunrise," Talia sighed. "The colors are the closest I've found to home." "Home? You mean heaven?" She laid her head on his shoulder. "I miss it so much sometimes. Less now that I've met you. Thank you for that." He put his arm around her. "You're welcome. I love you, Talia." When she didn't respond, he looked down and saw she'd fallen fast asleep. He smiled. Perhaps that was for the best. Cole, Rain, and Michael joined the king, queen, and Prince Adam in the throne room a full day after his sunrise visit to the garden. Talia looked flawless once more. The dark circles and general air of exhaustion vanished. For his part, King Jared looked grim. Whatever they had to say couldn't be good. "I have alarming news," Talia said. "Zarin has begun an assault on the Darkness's prison. It seems he believes the bonds are now weak enough that he can destroy it without breaking the rest of the swords." "Are you certain, Your Majesty?" Michael asked. "I haven't sensed anything." A little grimace of annoyance flickered across Talia's face so fast Cole almost missed it. "I'm certain, and we need to move quickly to avoid a disaster." "We're ready, Majesty," Cole said. "Will we go by portal?" "No, portals can't open on the island. We must travel by ship." Cole's ring screamed in his mind that she was lying. Cole frowned. He'd gotten used to her aura of deception, the illusion that disguised her angelic nature, but Talia had never out and out lied to him before. Something was very wrong. He stepped forward and took a knee. "Majesty, it would be my honor to be your champion in this battle." He held out his hand to her. Talia smiled and got to her feet. She moved closer and took his hand. He looked up into the familiar eyes. If he was wrong, she would hate him forever. In his mind, he commanded his ring to shatter her illusion. The warm, bronze skin vanished, replaced with pale skin crisscrossed by black veins. Bat wings unfurled behind her, and a barbed serpent's tail flicked out of her back. The female form remained, voluptuous and desirable, but all signs of warmth and love in her vanished, replaced by dead black eyes that looked at him with contempt. "You've spoiled my secret, human!" With strength far in excess of what her slender arms should be capable of, the creature flung him halfway across the room. Cole hit, rolled to his feet, and drew his sword all in one smooth motion. He recovered in time to see Michael raise a shield in front of Rain that deflected the demon's barbed tail moments before it would have struck her neck. The demon snarled and conjured black blades out of the air. She flung them at Prince Adam and pierced the boy in half a dozen places. He didn't even have time to scream before he collapsed. The demon turned her attention to King Jared, who had his sword out and up in a middle guard. "Guards!" With a wave of her hand, the demon conjured walls of dark fire to block the throne room doors. Cole raced to engage the demon, but the king moved faster. He slashed at her stomach. A shield of dark fire appeared to block his attack. The demon's talons grew, and she backhanded the king across the face, cutting 4 parallel grooves in his face. Her tail rose to finish him. Cole lunged, hoping to skewer her before she struck. She hissed and lashed her wings. Cole's blow missed her legs by inches, but at least he drove her away from the king. The demon's leap carried her 10 feet away where she stood facing them, dark energy crackling like lightning around her arms. Cole knelt by the prince to check for a pulse, and found nothing. His efforts to save the boy had accomplished nothing. He should have let him die with his protector like he wanted. Michael moved to stand beside him. "I can shield you long enough to get in a blow, but you have to make it count. If we don't hurry, the king will die." "All right, but what do we do if she goes airborne again?" "I'll handle that. You focus on a killing strike." Cole clenched his teeth and charged straight at the demon, making no attempt to dodge or change direction. He had to trust Michael to do his part. He hadn't taken 2 steps when streams of ravening black energy leapt toward him. His sword tingled in his hand and a glow surrounded him. The dark energy washed over him without harm. The demon spread her wings and tensed, ready to leap. Bands of white energy coiled around her wings, stopping them from beating. Her jaw dropped an instant before Cole drove his sword through her chest. He yanked it back, spun, and hacked her head from her shoulders. It landed with a wet plop, then head and body smoked and dissolved into a rancid sludge. The demon's black blood steamed on his sword as the holy weapon burned it off. The throne room doors burst open in the moment the black flames faded, and guards poured in, weapons bared. They searched, but found nothing to attack. Michael knelt beside the king, his glowing hand held inches above the gashes on the king's face. Cole sheathed his sword and went to Rain, who stood trembling and on the verge of tears. "Are you okay?" She looked at him, her lips quivering. Cole pulled her to him and held her while she cried. After a minute, she sniffed and looked up at him. "You said we'd be safe. Things like that aren't supposed to come here." Cole wiped her tears away. "No defense is perfect. I suspect that thing slipped in while Talia was repairing the damage to the wards. It probably caught her when she felt exhausted last night and attacked." "Do you think she's—" No, Talia's strong. She wouldn't go down easy." Cole had to believe that. If that creature had killed Talia, he feared he might lose it, and right now that might get everyone killed. What we need to do is find her. "Quite right." A haggard-looking Michael had left the king in the care of 2 other lightcasters and moved closer to them. "Any thoughts on where we should look?" Cole and Rain moved apart, and Cole said, "The last time I saw her was sunrise yesterday. We watched the dawn in the garden, and she chided me for throwing Prince Adam off the palace wall." "How did she seem?" Michael asked. "Tired." Michael nodded. "Let's look in their bedroom." Cole followed Michael out of the throne room with Rain tagging along behind. He wanted to tell her to stay in the throne room with the guards and lightcasters, but right now he suspected she needed to be close to people she trusted, and that was Cole and Michael. They soon left the public areas of the palace behind and entered the living quarters. They came to a junction of halls, and Michael went straight. Cole turned right. "Where are you going?" Michael asked. "The royal chambers are this way." "Talia's room is this way," Cole said without breaking stride. "How do you know?" Rain asked. The tone of her voice said she knew very well how he knew, but wanted him to say it. "I've visited her before, and let's leave it at that." Cole stopped in front of a simple pine door. It stood partway open. Cole took a breath. They would not find her in a pool of blood on the bed. Talia was too strong to be beaten by whatever that thing was. Michael came running down the hall. "I checked their bedroom, no sign of a fight." Cole nodded, not surprised in the least. Talia told him once she hadn't slept in their room in years. "Rain, stay behind us." "Ready, Michael?" When the lightcaster nodded, he kicked the door the rest of the way open. In the light of the room's single window, it looked like a tornado had hit the place. The bedsheets lay in a tangle on the floor. A cabinet had turned over and smashed along with a dressing mirror. Cole looked around and found a few drops of black blood like what'd come from the demon in the throne room. "They were here," he said. "But where is she now? It's not like that thing just carried Talia over her shoulder through the halls of the castle like a sack of potatoes." "That's not necessarily so. Remember, the succubus was a master of illusion. It could have disguised itself as a servant carrying a bundle and no one would have given them a second look. Wherever the queen is, the demon can't have taken her far. Once the queen repaired the wards, the demon wouldn't be able to open a portal." Talia heard it. "Can't we track its blood trail?" Cole paced the ruined bedroom, eager to be moving. Michael shook his head. "There were only a few drops, and demons heal fast. That gives me an idea. If the succubus used an illusion to disguise them, that might have left a trail of dark energy I can follow." While Michael cast around for a trail, Rain slipped into the room. "Is this where you met her?" Cole turned to look at her, surprised to hear hurt and even a little jealousy in her voice. "It is." "I don't understand. I thought you and I—" He moved to stand beside her. "We what?" "I'm your protector. Your champion. I like to think we've become friends, but when this is over, you'll have to find some nobleman to marry, and I'll go back to being a knight. One of, I hope, many that will help retake Corinthia. Even if I didn't love Talia, your peers would never accept a commoner ruling by your side, and I wouldn't know how to go about it if they would. Talia's married. You think her peers will accept her relationship with a commoner? Talia has no peers in this world. I found something." Michael waved them over by the door, saving Cole from the uncomfortable conversation. "A faint trail leads down the hall. It isn't much, but it's definitely a trace of dark power. Lead the way." Michael set a painfully slow pace, studying the floor every inch of the way. Cole wanted to shout at him to hurry, but restrained himself with great effort. They passed through the servants' quarters, drawing more than a few curious looks. They reached a staircase and followed it down to the storage area where they kept perishables. He tried his best not to think about the implications. Michael stopped in front of a blank wall. The trail stops here. Cole studied the wall and soon spotted the telltale glow of something hidden. He placed his hand on the wall and willed his ring to shatter the illusion. The blank section of wall shimmered and vanished, revealing a door. Unable to restrain himself, Cole kicked it open. Talia hung suspended in a web of dark energy, her body surrounded by a cocoon of light energy. She looked unharmed through the cocoon, but the energy barrier distorted the image. How do we get her down? Together. Michael put his hand on Cole's back, and light energy poured into him, down his arm and into the sword. Now cut the strands. She'll fall. The cocoon will protect her. Do it. Cole slashed at the dark strands, and they parted before his sword, just like a real spider web would. It took 3 swipes, but the cocoon finally dropped to the floor. He sheathed his sword and knelt beside her. Come on, Talia. Wake up. Her eyes fluttered, and the cocoon vanished. She groaned, rolled on her side, and pushed herself up. Cole put his arm behind her shoulders to help hold her up. Easy. You're safe now. So tired, she whispered. Maintaining a protective barrier like that drained most of her strength, Michael said. We should get her to bed. Cole scooped her up like she weighed nothing and carried her upstairs.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Fiction Friday. If you liked what you heard, you can find more of my fiction on my website, jamesewisher.com. Please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with anyone else you think might enjoy the show. Until next week, goodbye.